Hey everyone, this is Sam, and you are live with Conscious, or I'm live with Consciously Speaking at um, YouTube, our channel, Consciously Speaking Now with Sam and Ria. Now, Ria's not here today, unfortunately, because she had a personal emergency to attend to. So I'm going to be here for a little bit now. We had a discussion planned for you guys. This discussion was actually going to be touching base a little on the topic that we kind of mentioned before, or actually so last week we spoke about cancel culture, and this week, just towards the end of our conversation last week, we spoke about toxic work environments, and that's really the workplace where Ria and I met was something that we stayed in touch about because we connected on a level agreeing that the environment that we worked at was pretty toxic. And so I left first. She stuck around for a little while longer, but the environment was extremely toxic. And we wanted to talk a little bit about, how we dealt with that or how you would deal with that. We definitely have some questions for you guys as well. So hopefully you guys can hop online, do some commenting, and let us know how you feel about the topics that we're talking about. So let's get started. Like I said, Ria's not here today, so I'm going to talk a little bit, and we will come back, at another date and have a full discussion, both me and her, about the toxic work environment. So right now, I just want to talk or talk to you about like who's ever worked in a toxic place, like a toxic office or even a wherever you worked. Has it ever been so toxic that you just wanted to leave? When I did a little research online and I compared Canadians to Americans, I saw 1 in 5 Americans, they have left in 2003. 1 in 5 Americans have left their workplace due to the toxic environment, the toxicity of the workplace itself. And for Canadians, and we always say the Canadians are the nice people, and we're always nice and polite and everything to other people, but for Canada, the ratings are 2 in 5 employees have left their job in 2023 compared to the 1 in 5 because of the simple fact that they worked in a toxic work environment. And you know what I think is, once you start to recognize that your environment is not good for your mental health, especially, you got to start looking for a place. You got to start looking for elsewhere. Don't put yourself through so much torture to stay there. Find something else. But let's go and talk about. Well, I will share with you. Like, we don't want to talk about the company that we worked at, but we do want to talk about the environment that we were in and what caused it to be so toxic. And I know last week we touched base on a little bit of the cliques in the office place, bullying in the office place. For me personally, when I sit back and I look and I think about what happened where the two of us worked together, there was a lot of conniving. Now, people these days don't think that there is, backstabbing and all this stuff going on in the workplace, but there is. There still is a lot of people stepping over you, shoving you under the bus, or throwing you under the bus, however you want to say it, reversing and moving that bus forward on you. So how do you recognize that you're in a toxic environment? And every workplace has that person that is, going to say it, a shit stirrer. Every workplace has a person that likes drama or the gossip, and people who like to just put their little grain of salt in and watch the whole thing explode into a dramatic event. So that's one of the things. We have people that are overly dramatic, people that are creative in the things that they do or say, instigators, people who provoke you, people who harass you. And it could be a coworker, it could be a supervisor or manager, people that are confrontational. Every workplace has a confrontational person, one that likes to watch the drama or start the drama, one that likes to be confrontational, loud, obnoxious, and always, you know, making a big scene. Those two people like drama a lot, but one likes to be noticed and the other one just likes to sit back and watch. So there's those confrontational workers as well. Then you have the people that have lack of respect for their coworkers, lack of respect for their supervisors, lack of respect for the company in general. And they can be the dramatic person. They can be the person who likes to cause a commotion, but they can also be the person that is the complainer, always complaining about everything going on in the workplace. That's never good. Benefits are not good enough. Benefits are, suck, or they don't get the benefits, or things like the workload is too hard. We do work at 10. And this could be factual too, that a lot of workplace now, they do give employees more work than, let me put it this way. When I worked or there has been a few places I worked, the employees complained that the workload was too much for one person, and the expectations and the targets that were set were unrealistic for us to reach within a day. So I'm not going to go into detail about the kind of work we did, but I mean, in an office setting, you got to know that they're expecting a lot of you throughout the day. And for a place that you're sitting all day for the most part, when you get up to go to the washroom or get up to stretch your legs, I've worked in a workplace where I literally, every time I got up, I saw the manager's head peek over and watch exactly where I'm going, because they're like timing me to go wherever it is, from my desk to, let's say, the washroom. They're timing how long it takes for me to get there, how long it takes for me to come back. And nobody wants to be watched like a hog. So that's something that is, for me, that's kind of toxic as well. So then there's the verbal and the physical abuse, or the bullying and the harassment, whether it's sexual harassment or other kind of harassments. Like, like I mentioned before, there's cliques in the workplace, and sometimes a new person comes in, that clique wants to haze the person. And although bullying an adult is not illegal, it's still childish. Like it brings back those emotional terrors that people had as a child, being bullied in the workplace. If you've ever been bullied in the workplace, if you've never experienced bullying, then I mean, you're very lucky. What about unreasonable schedules in the workplace? Like I said, sometimes the toxicity in the environment is not only from the co-workers, but it's from management. And management has a big responsibility to play in that. They either are responsible for it, or when they're notified or informed of anything toxic happening, they don't do anything about it, or if they do anything about it, it's never enough. And I've worked in a lot of places where people have reported certain things happening, like, I'll say, well, one of the places where we worked together, Ria and I, there was always a conflict amongst some of the girls, and they would take off and leave the work for the rest of us to do. And so if you report that to the manager says, okay, I'll talk to them, but they don't really talk to them. They just say you need to stay at your desk or whatever. They don't really have that firm conversation. Say, listen, we have a job to do. We need to get this doing, and it's not fair to your other workers or your coworkers who have to pick up your slack. Things like that. So supervisors, in general, leadership within the workplace, they play a big role in being in a toxic environment as well, because as well I've seen where there's supervisors and managers who like to yell or like to put down people. There's also supervisor managers that don't want to hear your opinion or your suggestions, or when they do hear your opinions and suggestions, they put them down, or they take your opinions and suggestions and claim it for their own and take credit for it. uh, there's also the employees who, oh, sorry, managers and supervisors who not just nitpick, but they also favor people. They tend to favor some people, and they don't know how to put aside their dislike for other people, put aside their emotions and stay on a professional level. And this is something that I've seen a lot in the workplace as well. Managers, they don't like you, so they give you the crappy work, or they give you but they're very petty and they pick on every little thing that you do. And then people who have their friendship, they like to give them the easy jobs and promote them more than they promote people who actually doing the work. So a lot of things like that play into it. And like, I do want to have a conversation because, like I said, Ria's away, and we could have a whole conversation on the location where we worked together, how toxic it was, the people involved, the kind of things that happened there. But I wanted also to mention, like you guys. I mean, some people have worked in a toxic environment. Some people have been fortunate not to work in a toxic environment. But I want to hear from you guys. Who has worked in a toxic environment? What was their situation like? You can email us. You can message us on Instagram, or you can just leave your comments here in the comments section. So let us know what you are thinking, and what your experiences are, and who believes that the best way. And I heard this before, one of the best ways to deal with a toxic coworker is to ignore them. Do you guys think that's the best way to deal with a toxic coworker, or do you have other ideas, or do you have other experiences that you want to share with us about what has happened to you in the past, or somebody you know? Let's say, do you think that toxicity in the workplace starts with the managers or the supervisors or the CEOs or the executives? What role do they play? Let us know how you feel about that. I'd love to do a poll, actually, or a survey on, and put it out there for you guys. And who has ever really, anybody out there watching this, left their place of employment because it was so toxic? I put up my hand. I've done it a couple times. When I feel like the environment is not good for me, it's not something that I see myself staying at, because it's not, number one, a place where I can't see myself going any further, and number two, if I can't vibe with the manager or the supervisor or whoever it is, if I feel like they're being unfair, I start looking. I think pretty much the longest place that I've worked for is just over 5 years. And sometimes you start in a place and it's great, you think wonderful things of it, and you're enjoying your environment, and things change, like the managers change, or some employees leave and new employees come back. It really depends on the people that you work with as well. So that's let's talk about that more. I really wish Rio was here so we could talk about it more. But so what I wanted to say to you guys too, I did a little check on the worst places in Canada to work and the best places in Canada to work. So the employers were graded. Like I did a few different, like I did the Forbes list, and I did a couple different Canadian companies who check with workers in the workplace about how they feel about their employers. And I'll tell you right now. So for one of the lists that I did, I believe it was Canadian Work Board or something like that. Top 5 Canadian grocery retailers. And I say grocery retailers because it was a grocery retailer that Ria and I worked for. We worked at the head office, and I've worked for a few grocery retailers. So whoever knows me know where I worked. It's one of those places, but I'm not going to say which one it is. The top 5 in Canada, and this is for sales that come in, are number 5, which is Walmart at 8%, Costco, which is 9%, and I'll tell you on one of my lists, Costco came in 67th on the one of the worst lists. Sorry, yeah, one of the worst lists in Canada to work for. One of the worst companies in Canada to work for. Metro, sorry, let me say that the other way. Costco came in 67th of one of the best companies to work. One of the 100 out of 100 best companies to work for in Canada. Costco was 67th. These other ones that I'm going to list came in nowhere near. And these are the top 5 grocery retailers in Canada. Walmart, 8% market sales. Costco, 9% of the market sales. Metro, 11% of the market sale. Sobeys, 20% of the market sales. And Loblaw, 28% of the market sales. And those are the top 5 retailers there. Now, the top 5 worst places to work for in Canada. And guess what? Tim Hortons came up number 1 on my list. And that was on my list for a couple of different locations. So Tim Hortons was number 1 on that list. And let me just see who the rest were. Let me just see here. We had a few. I think Walmart was one of them too. So we had according to the rating by myemployer.ca, Niagara Falls Health Systems. That's the number 1 worst place in Canada to work for. Independent Protection Services. That's the number 2 worst place in Canada to work for. Dalval, and these I did do a little research on these companies, but I'm not going to go into details of what they are. But some of them are obviously healthcare services. And some are financial, and I think Dalval was a production service or something. BHC Cable Assemblies Incorporated. That's number 4 worst. And General so that's number 4. Those are the top 4. So in Canada, the worst is Tim Hortons, Shoppers Drug Mart, The Brick, Canada Post, and Canadian Tire. And that's from worst to least worst. There's a few more that, if I want to go on to say the top 10, WestJet is number 6 on that list. Leon's is number 7 on that list. Bell Canada, which I thought would have been lower on that list, is actually number 8 on that list. Flight Hub is number 9, and Superstore, which is owned by Loblaw. And by the way, Shoppers Drug Mart is also owned by Loblaw. Those are Superstore's number 10 on the list, which I thought there would be more grocery stores listed on the worst list, but there's not. And so I guess that's yeah, mostly retail outlets, whether it's food retailers fast food joints, a lot of restaurants. They're the worst places to work, most toxic. And I think mostly it's because of scheduling, how the employees are treated, the lack of pay. There's so many factors in why an employee would consider a workplace one of the worst to work. And it's not just because of the environment of where, like, how people are treated within the workplace, or um, the social aspect of the workplace. It could be more things like I earlier mentioned, benefits and so forth. So those are things. When we do come back next week, we will have a different topic. And like I said, I'm sorry Ria's not here, and I keep calling her Leah because it's easy to say Leah. That's my daughter's name. But she will be back next week, hopefully, and we can speak on either this more, have a wider conversation about our experience. Hopefully, we'll get more feedback from you guys with your experiences, and talk a little bit more in detail about toxic workplaces. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and hope you have a great rest of your Sunday evening, and we will see you next week. Thank you so much, guys. Take care, be kind, and stay happy.